You're listening to Points Everywhere, the podcast where busy people learn to take amazing trips for minimal out-of-pocket cost without having to devote a ton of time to the process. I'm your host, Courtney. I'm a mom, traveler, and primary care physician. I'll share the secret strategies my family uses to earn points and miles so that you and your family can travel everywhere for almost free, just like us. Welcome back to Points Everywhere. This is your host, Courtney. I'm excited that you're here today. Today, I'll be giving you a peek inside of my wallet to look at the cards that I currently have, and we'll use my wallet as a way to talk about what to do with all of these cards once you start opening them. One of the most common questions I get is what the heck to do with cards once you open them in the long term. Remember, deciding to open a card is one decision point. Pretty much every card makes sense in the first year in order to earn that sign-up bonus, even if it's got a high annual fee. But then, do you keep them all open forever? How do you know when to close a card? Today, we'll focus on that next step, what to do once you've had a card for a while. I'll give you some parameters for this decision-making, and then we'll go through my wallet and I'll walk through my decision-making for my specific situation. You won't make all the same decisions as me, and that's fine. The point of this exercise is to see how I think through this. Then you can apply the same process to your own wallet. If you are brand new here, you may want to consider going back to the beginning of the podcast. I do focus on more fundamentals of points and miles in the first several episodes. And so if you are brand new to this hobby, I do suggest going back to the beginning of the series and then coming back here once you're ready. Let's talk about the things to consider when you're thinking about what to do with a card. First thing to consider is how long has the card been open? If a card has been open for less than a year, don't close it yet. When you're doing points and miles, you have to kind of play by some of the bank's rules because you want to be generally in their good graces and let them keep approving you for cards. One of the things that's really important in this hobby is that anytime you open a card, you keep it open for at least a year. You'll pay that initial annual fee when you first sign up for the card, and then you'll keep the card for a whole year until that second annual fee hits. At that point, you can then decide whether to keep, cancel, product change, or downgrade the card. We'll talk about what each of those options mean in a minute. All this to say, if the card's been open for less than a year, you're keeping it. You also want to think about keeping older cards as well. Whatever your oldest credit card is, whether it's a points earning card or a cashback card, something you had before you got into points and miles, you really don't want to close that. The only time you might break this rule is if that card happens to have a high annual fee, but you do want to make sure you've got an anchor, old card that you've had for a long time to keep your credit history long and established. That's because part of how your credit history is calculated has to do with how long your credit history is. And so if you've got a card that you've had for 15 years, you really don't want to close that because closing that, it will then change the length of your credit history and make it shorter. It will go to whenever your second card was opened. So when you're thinking about whether to keep or cancel a card, you do want to think about how old the card is. Factor number 2 that you want to consider when you're thinking about what to do with a card is whether or not you need that card to keep that type of points currency alive, to keep earning and maintaining points in that currency. So for example, if I have an Amex card and that's my only Amex card, I need that Amex card open in order to be able to keep my current Amex points and use them. You could, of course, transfer those points out to a partner and then close the card. But if I want to keep earning Amex points in general, I might need to keep that Amex card open if it's the only one that I have. So thinking about whether a card is the only one that you have in a specific points currency could be a big part of that decision-making process. Because once you've gotten into a specific points currency, whether it be Citi, Chase, Capital One, you very well may want to continue to hold a card within that points currency system. Factor number 3 to consider is how much is the annual fee? If a card has no annual fee, keep it. It's a no-brainer. There's really no reason to close a card, even if you're really not using it, if it has no annual fee. Back to how credit scores are calculated, a big part of your credit score is credit utilization. That basically looks at the amount of credit you are using at any given time as compared to the total amount of credit extended to you. So if I've got a card with a $10,000 credit limit and I never use it, that helps my credit utilization. I'm using 0% or a very small percentage of that $10,000 of credit that's extended to me. That helps my credit score, and so I really don't want to get rid of that card. So if the card is no annual fee, it's a pretty easy decision. You keep it. But if it's got a higher annual fee, then you've really got to think about what benefits the card is giving you and if it makes sense to continue paying the annual fee for another year based on the benefits you're getting the card. And that's factor number 4 thing to consider when you're thinking about whether to keep, cancel, downgrade, or product change a card is what benefits you're getting from the card that help offset the annual fee. Factor number 5 to consider when thinking about what to do next with a card is the points earning structure of the card useful to you? Meaning, are the bonus multiplier categories useful and is that helping you earn a lot of points on an ongoing basis? For example, an Amex Gold earns 4 times points on groceries. And so a lot of people will keep that card on an ongoing basis for that specific multiplier earning. Some cards will have higher earning on things like gas or dining. And so once you accumulate a decent number of cards, you might find that you no longer need duplicates of certain things. So if you've got a card that's a higher annual fee, you're not getting a ton of benefits from it to offset the annual fee, and the earning categories aren't really super useful to you or aren't unique as compared to other cards in your wallet, that may be a reason to no longer keep a card. The 6th factor to consider when thinking about what to do with a card next is if you need to cancel the card in order to get it again and earn a sign-up bonus. This is really variable by card, but some cards allow you to get more than one of the card at the same time. Some cards let you earn the sign-on bonus again after you've already gotten the card and earned a sign-on bonus, but you have to wait a specific amount of time and you can't currently hold the card. I'll delve into this a little bit when I talk about my Southwest cards. And that's really it. Those are the things to consider when you're thinking about what to do with a credit card. 1, how long has the card been open? 2, do you need that card to keep a specific points currency alive? 3, how much is the annual fee? 4, what benefits are you getting from the card to offset the annual fee? 5, is the points earning structure of the card useful to you? Are you getting a lot of points earning based on your everyday spending with that card? And are there duplicates that make that card no longer necessary for that specific spending category? 6, do you need to cancel the card to get it again and earn a sign-on bonus again? There's decision point 1. Am I keeping the card or am I not keeping the card? Once you decide you don't want to keep a card anymore, you've also got more options. You can cancel a card, you can downgrade a card, product change, or a secret 4th option, ask for a retention offer, which is where you actually keep the card, but you try to get extra points for keeping the card. I'll talk about that in a minute. Let's talk about canceling cards. If you cancel a card within 30 days of the annual fee posting, you can typically get the annual fee refunded. This is a little bit variable by issuer, depending on which bank the card is coming from, but in general, 30 days is typically what's allowed. Some issuers allow a bit longer. So if you've got a card that you really don't intend on keeping after the initial year, you pay the annual fee when you first open it, you keep the card for a year, you wait until that second annual fee hits and you are charged that annual fee, then Within 30 days of paying that second annual fee, you cancel the card and you can get the annual fee refunded. It's really important not to just cancel it before the second annual fee hits. The credit card issuer considers this canceling within a year, and they don't like that, and it will make it more difficult for you to get more cards in the future. Some credit card issuers will prorate an annual fee. Amex does this, for example. So for example, if I opened a card in January, I keep the card all through the following January, all the way to the next June. If I cancel it then, I'll get basically half of the annual fee refunded because I'm keeping it for only half of that year that we've gone through. Not all card issuers do that. For example, Chase doesn't. So with a Chase card, you really have no incentive to cancel until either right before that annual fee hits if you've already had the card for more than a year, or right after the annual fee hits and then asking for the annual fee to be refunded. So that's option one, canceling the card. You can also downgrade cards. This means essentially changing the card with that current credit line you already have to a lower tier option within that card family. For example, if I've got a Chase Sapphire Reserve and I don't want to pay the annual fee anymore, but I want to keep that credit line open, I don't want to close the card, then I could downgrade to a Chase Freedom Flex or a Chase Freedom Unlimited, which are both no annual fee cards. So then I'm keeping that credit line open, but I'm also no longer paying that hefty annual fee. Downgrading is a really good option because, again, it keeps that credit line open, which helps your credit score. And downgrades are considered a soft inquiry on your account, not a hard inquiry, meaning it doesn't count as getting a new card in the eyes of the issuers. So for Chase, for example, there's that 524 rule we talk about, where if you've opened 5 new accounts within the past 24 months, Chase won't approve you for additional cards. They don't count downgrading a card as applying for a new card. We've got canceling, we've got downgrading. There's also product changing. This is similar to downgrading, but it can mean getting a different type of card that might not necessarily be lower tier, could be just a totally different card within the same family that has other benefits or a lower annual fee that you want. Typically, when you're product changing, you don't in general want to upgrade, because if you're upgrading, you're likely going to a higher annual fee card that has a better sign-on bonus. And ideally, if you want that higher level card, you would apply for that card outright and earn the sign-on bonus. If you're upgrading a card, if you're doing a product change that involves going to a higher tier card, you're not getting a sign-on bonus for that. And so that's not always the best choice, but product changing is an option. This can become more relevant within co-branded cards. For example, Delta, Southwest, the different airline cards, they have a whole bunch of different cards within that card family, and you can change from one type to another. That would be considered a product change. The cards that are available for product change are super dependent on the issuer and the type of cards we're talking about. So if you've got a card that you're thinking about product changing, you want to do some quick searching to see what options you can actually change to. Typically, you can't go from a co-branded card to a non-co-branded card or vice versa. So if I've got an Amex, I likely can't change to a Delta card, and I can't change a Delta card to a regular Amex card, for example, even if they're both owned by Amex. So there's your options. If you're not keeping the card, you're canceling it, you're downgrading it, or you're product changing it. You might be wondering how on earth I keep track of all of this. I certainly wondered that before I got into this hobby. Lots of people keep track of their cards with spreadsheets. So putting in when they open the card, how many points they earn, they kind of track it all in a spreadsheet. I use apps to do this, to make things a lot simpler. The two that I use regularly are Card Pointers and Travel Freely. They're both very good, and they kind of have different things they do very well. And so I use both because I like different things that each of those apps offers. Both have free versions. I use the free version of Travel Freely, and I use the paid version of Card Pointers. Both of these apps allow you to enter your card information when you get a new card. Now, you're not putting in your credit card number, the billing information. You're just putting in the type of card you opened, the date you opened it. Then it keeps track of all of that for you. So, for example, I put all my cards into Travel Freely, and then I'll get an email saying, oh, this card has an annual fee coming up due in about 30 days. And so this is a nice prompt to think about that when I get that reminder. Okay, annual fees coming up. What do I want to do with this card? Should I keep it? Should I cancel it? I really like that it gives those active reminders. I also use card pointers, which has some very similar functions where you put in the information when you open the card. It's got a great way to track when you earn the sign-on bonus, when you redeem certain credits. So, for example, if I redeem my $100 Resi restaurant credit on my Amex Platinum, I can go in and click a button that says, yep, I've redeemed this credit. And so then I can really easily keep track of what credits I've used and which I haven't used. Because the more cards you get, the more complicated this gets. And so I do find those apps very helpful in that regard. Card Pointers also has a totally separate function in the paid version. It's kind of separate from this, but I will quickly mention it. It allows you to auto add the offers that are on cards. Cards like Chase, Amex, Capital One, they will have little offers or coupons attached to the cards, but you have to activate them for them to work. And if you do this on their website, you have to go in and literally click, I want 10% off Nike. I want 5% back at Fast Track. Takes forever to click all of them. And Card Pointers has a function where you can log in, click a button, and all of those offers that can be added to your card are added. And you can do this for multiple cards all at the same time. So it's a really nice function. Whatever you decide to do for your strategy, it is really important that you stay organized in some way. I would say if you're just getting started, Travel Freely, since it's free, pretty easy to use, is a great place to start for tracking your cards. Both of these do allow you also to track both yourself and a player too if you're working in two-player mode. Let's take a look in my wallet and talk about what I'm doing with all of my cards. We're actually going to look into two wallets because I do this with my husband and I basically manage all of his cards for him. So I really think about our strategy as our wallets combined. So I'll kind of go through this process with both my wallet and his wallet, and we'll talk about what we're doing with all of our cards. My first card is a Discover Cashback card. This is a card that I've had since long before I started in Points and Miles. It's got a $0 annual fee, and because of that, being my oldest credit card, I keep that card forever to keep my credit history long and established. So that's an easy decision. I'm keeping it. Card number 2 is a Citi American Airlines Advantage Platinum Select World Elite. That one is a mouthful. This is a $99 annual fee American Airlines card. I've also had this one for a long time. I got it back in 2010 when I very first dipped my toe into Points and Miles. I got this card when we were coming back from our honeymoon. It was a high sign-on bonus, 90,000 points, which is really good for American Airlines. Because this card is old, and because of the benefits I get from the card, this is one where you get free checked bags when flying American Airlines. For me, that alone is worth it. We generally fly American Airlines at least once, usually a couple of times a year. And so right now, it makes sense to keep that card. That might change, but for right now, I'm keeping it. Next up is my Amex Platinum. This is an $895 annual fee card. Okay, this is a harder decision in some ways because I have to really make sure I'm getting a lot of benefits from this card in order to justify an $895 annual fee. I've had this card for more than a year, so I could cancel it or change it if I wanted to, but ultimately, I get a lot out of this card to offset that $895 annual fee. I won't go through all the credits here, but some of the ones I take advantage of are an annual $200 airline credit, $100 to Resi restaurants 4 times a year, so totaling $400, $75 at Lululemon every quarter, free Clear membership for faster security lines at the airport, $25 a month towards streaming services, which I'm already paying for anyway. I got free Nexus for us this year. It's also got two $300 hotel credits, which I've used. So I looked back in my apps and I saw that for this calendar year, January to time of recording, July, I've already gotten $2,384 worth of benefits from this card. So I'm definitely getting more than $895 worth of benefits, and the year's not even over, and I definitely will continue to use these credits. I always use the Resi one. I always use the Lululemon one. The digital entertainment one is, we pay for Hulu, and it just takes $25 off that subscription every month. Plus, there's even more benefits I haven't mentioned, including access to awesome airport lounges. So for me, this card is a keeper. The interesting thing about this card is I don't actually use it very much. I really only use this card if I'm redeeming a credit. So if I've got a hotel credit that I'm using, if I'm booking a hotel using one of the hotel credits, I'll use this card. I'll use it when I'm redeeming my Resi credits. But otherwise, I don't use it for everyday spending. I've got other cards that do the heavy lifting in that regard. Ultimately, I've landed on I'm keeping this card, which is interesting because when I signed up for it, I really just wanted the big sign-on bonus, and I wasn't sure that I could justify the $895 fee going forward. But now looking back on the benefits I've gotten, it makes sense to keep for now. So this one's a keeper. Up next is the Chase Freedom Unlimited. This is a $0 annual fee card through Chase, and it earns 1.5 times points on all purchases. When I first got this was a workhorse card. I put a lot of spending on it because it was the best way to earn more than 1 point per dollar on my just general everyday expenses that didn't fall into a category like dining, gas, groceries. Now I've got other cards that do this same thing better. I've got the Capital One Venture X. That earns 2 times points on everything. And then my husband has a Built Palladium, which earns 2 times points on everything. And with the points accelerator function, can actually earn 3 times points on everything up to $25,000 a year. So this card is kind of not one that I use anymore. What I plan to do with this card is product change it. I don't want to get rid of it because, again, you want to keep those older credit lines open, and keeping cards open in general helps keep your credit utilization rate low and your credit score high. What I'm going to do is product change this to a Freedom Flex. I've been planning this a while and just haven't bothered to do it because it requires a phone call to Chase, and that's not my favorite thing. But what I'll do is make this a Freedom Flex, and that will give me access to earn 5 times points on certain categories rotating through the year. That way, I'll have a reason to use it. If there's a 5x on something that I spend money on anyway, I'll just shift my spending to that card for that quarter. So this is a product change, and the annual fee will stay at $0. Next up is another high annual fee card, the Chase Sapphire Reserve. This card has a $795 annual fee, another really pricey one. I got this card back when the annual fee was much lower, and when they raised the annual fee and revamped the card, I didn't know if I would keep it long term, but I've ultimately decided to keep it for now. I really love this card for earning 4 times points on flights and hotels booked directly. Every single time I'm booking a hotel or a flight, I'm using this card. That's because it's got awesome travel protections, better than any of the other more premium travel cards like the Amex Platinum, the Venture X. This one's got the best coverage. It's also got primary rental car coverage, so I always put rental cars on this card. And then, like the Amex Platinum, it's a coupon card. It's got a ton of different credits that you can use every year to offset that annual fee. Some of the ones I use always are $10 a month towards Peloton. It's got some hotel credits called the Edit credit, which I haven't used yet, but plan to. There's $150 towards certain restaurants twice a year, which is much more restrictive than the Resi credit for Amex Platinum. It's really only for restaurants in bigger cities. But I've successfully been able to redeem these for gift cards to restaurants in bigger cities that I'll visit later. So for example, I've got a bunch of restaurant gift cards that I got for free using this credit for New York City when my daughter and I go in December. Without delving into the nitty-gritty specifics of the credits for this card, I checked how many of these credits I've taken advantage of so far this year, and it's been $1,660 this calendar year from January to July. So for me, I easily got well over that $795 annual fee worth in credit, and I plan to keep the card. Next up is my World of Hyatt personal card. This is a $95 annual fee card and one that I will keep probably forever. It gives elevated points earning on spend at Hyatt hotels, and then it's also got 2 times points earning on gym memberships, which is kind of unique. Yes, I could get that from just a 2x on everywhere card, but I like earning some extra Hyatt points. So my gym memberships go on there, and then I spend on them at Hyatt hotels. So if we go to a Hyatt resort, this is the card I'm putting as my card on file, even though typically I'm paying with points and not actually spending anything on our hotel stays at Hyatt. But then I charge everything to the room, right? So all the restaurants and little miscellaneous purchases at the resort, which can definitely add up, I get 9 times points on that spending, which is really nice. That alone wouldn't be enough to have me keep the card forever, though I do earn a decent amount of points just from my spending at Hyatt hotels through the year. The reason I'll keep this card on an ongoing basis is that every year on my card anniversary, I get a category 1 through 4 free night certificate. So once a year, I get a free night at one of those hotels in the lower tier option of Hyatt. This includes a lot of hotels like Hyatt House and Hyatt Place, which aren't super luxury, but are great for a family stay. These are great for airport hotels as well. If you've got an overnight around an airport, I found lots of ways to use these free night certificates. Those hotel rooms in a category 1 through 4 are going to be at least $95, likely quite a bit more, usually in the $150 to $250 range, sometimes even more, depending on the dates and the hotel that you're booking. So I always get my $95 back plus some by redeeming that free night certificate. Plus, if you spend $15,000 on this card in a year, you can get an additional free night certificate, which I do usually do. This is a keeper card. Next up is the Chase Sapphire Preferred. I just got this card. It, right now at the time of recording, has a 100,000 point sign-on bonus, which is the highest it's ever been. It's only been this high a handful of times ever in the history of this card. And Chase recently changed their rules so that you can hold and earn sign-on bonuses for both a Chase Sapphire Reserve and the Chase Sapphire Preferred. So I went ahead and snagged this card just a week or so ago, and I'm working on the sign-on bonus. So this, of course, I'm keeping it for now because I need to keep it for at least a year. Once next year rolls around, I'll then have to decide if I want to keep it on an ongoing basis. My next card is a Southwest Rapid Rewards Plus card. This is a $99 annual fee card, and I've had it for almost 2 years. I plan to cancel this card later this year. 2 reasons. 1, I don't want to cancel it yet because I have some upcoming Southwest flights, and I want it for the free checked bag and free seat selection 48 hours prior to check-in. I do also get 3,000 points per card member anniversary, which is nice, and then I get a 10% off coupon to use once a year. The coupon's really nice because it gives you 10% off either points or cash, and you can book a whole bunch of tickets on the same thing, and the coupon applies to all of them. So I could book something for my family for a round trip and get 10% off the top, whether it's points or cash. I love a lot of things about this card, but I do still plan to cancel it. That's because I want to get it again new and earn a new sign-on bonus. My Southwest points are running low. I don't necessarily want to transfer Chase points to Southwest. I love Southwest, but I've got a lot of other things I want to use Chase points on. So I like earning Southwest points through a Southwest card sign-on bonus. I have to decide whether or not my husband and I are going to go for getting companion passes again. That would impact when I sign up for this card, but in terms of when to cancel, I'll do this before I pay the next annual fee, which would be in October. So I'll take a trip this summer using my Southwest card. Then, before the next annual fee hits, I'll cancel it, and then likely I'll reapply for it within a few months, and then earn that sign-on bonus again. Companion Pass is a whole own topic, which I can do an episode on if there's interest, but there's a lot of strategy in terms of when you start earning for a Companion Pass, when you earn a Companion Pass in order to get the most benefit, the longest amount of time that you're getting essentially buy one free Southwest tickets, whether it be on points or cash. So definitely canceling this, not sure when I'll reapply for it, but I will. Next is my Chase Inc. Business Unlimited. This is my first year with this card, so need to keep it, but it's a $0 annual fee card, so I'll likely keep this for the foreseeable future. It's also my only business card, so all of my business spending goes on it. This card isn't going anywhere. Easy decision. Next is my Capital One Venture X. This one has a $395 annual fee, but does have some other benefits that offset that annual fee, mainly a $300 travel credit, which knocks $300 right off the top, plus 10,000 points a year on my card member anniversary, which is worth more than $100 to me. So this is likely a long-term keeper card, but also I got it within this year, so I need to keep it either way. If you're adding up along with me, that is $2,473 in annual fees for my cards, which is a lot. That number may make you squirm. For me, paying that amount makes sense because for each of those annual fees I'm paying, I'm getting benefits that are worth more to me than the amount I'm paying. Plus, that's not taking into account, of course, all the points I'm earning from having these cards and the travel I'm booking from earning all of those points. So for me, each of these cards makes sense to keep right now. I probably will make different decisions next year. That's why it's important to kind of reassess your wallet every half year or year to make sure all the cards you've got still make sense for you. That's 10 cards for me. Right now, that feels totally manageable. I don't use all these cards every day. Not all of them are in my wallet, but I have specific purposes for each card. For me, managing all the different credits, knowing that I'm getting all the benefits from them, that's working great for me right now. I don't feel overwhelmed. As I apply for more and more cards as time goes by, I likely will not want to keep all of these cards. So the decision making will likely change as I open more cards and the total number of cards I got open changes. I've opened 3 so far this calendar year in 7 months, which is a little bit faster than I usually go, but one was a business card that didn't count towards 524, so that helped keep my 524 low. When I'm thinking about the annual fees, I think about the things that offset the annual fees, but then also, again, the points and travel that I'm getting with this. So comparing that, $2,400 or so in annual fees I'm paying this year, I also booked $29,000 worth of travel so far this calendar year from January to July. I think of it as I'm budgeting $2,500 towards travel, and I'm booking way more worth in travel than that amount. Your math and your calculations will likely be different, but you can think about it the same way. Now we'll dive into my husband's wallet, my Player 2. Some of this is duplicate, so this will be a little faster. Plus, he doesn't have as many cards as me right now. He's got a total of 7 cards at the moment. His first card is a Chase Freedom Unlimited, which is the same one that I have and talked about that earns 1.5 times on all purchases. I'm going to do the exact same thing for him where we product change to a Freedom Flex. That way we can take advantage of those rotating 5X categories, but still keep this credit line open. His next card is an Amex Gold. I don't have this card, so this is the only Amex Gold in our household. This has a $325 annual fee. I'm actually not sure what I'm going to do with this card yet. I'm still contemplating. It earns 4 times points on groceries and dining, which I love. And it's got some nice Resi credits. It definitely is the best earner for grocery spend specifically. The thing is, now that we are so deep in points and miles, we're actually using this card less because most of the time we're working on a sign-on bonus. Right now we're working on 2 sign-on bonuses. He's got a new card. I've got a new card. We're allocating all of our spending towards those 2 cards, and then we'll earn a big chunk of points from each of those bonuses. Probably about when we're done with those sign-on bonuses, I'll be looking for another card to apply to. So now that we're kind of continuing to open cards at a relatively rapid pace, I mean, rapid as compared to the general population, not within the points world, but about every 3 months, we're each applying for a card. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter. And so I actually find we don't use this card for groceries as much as we were initially when we got it, when we didn't open as many cards. So I'm actually not sure it makes sense anymore. I was thinking about asking for a retention offer. So that's that 4th sort of secret option that people forget about sometimes. This is where you reach out to the credit card company and say, hey, I'm looking to cancel this card. And then usually they'll counter with, oh, we'd like you to keep this card. You're getting XYZ benefits from this card. And usually they'll offer a retention offer. Oh, if you keep this card and you spend X amount, you'll get this many additional points, 20, 30,000, sometimes more for spending $2,000 or $3,000. The offers can vary wildly. So sometimes they want you to spend a lot and get not very many points, in which case it's usually not worth it. But sometimes you'll get a decent retention offer. Amex is good about offering these. Some other credit card companies, Chase, for example, basically, I don't know if I've ever heard of them offering one of these, but Amex does like to give retention offers. So I'll probably start there. The other nice thing about Amex is that you can use the chat feature in the app to do this. So you can just do it all in writing, all by text. You don't have to actually call someone, which I hate doing. So I'll start there. I'll say I'm planning to cancel the card and then see what they offer for a retention offer. If they offer a decent amount of points for not too much spending, we'll likely keep the card for another year. And that's actually what we did with this card last year. We got a retention offer. If the retention offer isn't good, I was thinking I would downgrade to an Amex Green, which is the lowest tier card in the Amex family. Interestingly, that card disappeared from the Amex website a couple of days ago. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that at the time of recording, and I don't know if that card is available anymore. So to be determined. I may get a retention offer, I may cancel this card, we will see. Next up for my player 2 is a Chase Sapphire Preferred. This is a $95 annual fee card, same one that I just got to earn the sign-on bonus. We don't need 2 of these in our household. $95, not a super high annual fee, but I'm not looking to pay any money I don't need. This is duplicate now that I have it, and I in general I'm the P1. I'm the main points person in charge, so I like to have as many of the foundational cards in my name, so it's easier for me to manage these things. And so I'd rather me have the preferred than him, and actually I have to keep mine now because I just got it. So we'll downgrade this card to a Chase Freedom Flex, likely a $0 annual fee card. So that'll take off $95. He can then take any Chase points that he earns on a Freedom Flex or Freedom Unlimited and can still transfer those over to me. So we'll still have the ability to use his points earned with Chase to transfer to partners. If he didn't have a preferred and he was all on his own, his points would be stuck as cash back if he just had a Freedom Unlimited or Freedom Flex. But because you can transfer points within a household with Chase, he can just send all those points over to me and I can transfer them to partners. P2's next card is the Citi American Airlines Advantage Globe card. This is a little bit higher tier annual fee American Airlines card than the one that I have that's really old. This is a $350 annual fee card. This one is new. We are currently working on the sign-on bonus for this to get 90,000 American Airlines points. This is one that I didn't have on my radar for this year, but it had an elevated offer, and so we jumped on it. So we're keeping this for now because we have to keep it for at least a year. I imagine that we will not keep this card on an ongoing basis. It does have some benefits to offset the annual fee, but I'll look at that more critically and do the calculations when the time comes. Remember, the decision to open a card is not the same as the decision to keep a card on an ongoing basis. Paying that $350 now to get 90,000 points is an absolute no-brainer. Once it comes time to renew, then I can decide if I want to keep paying that $350, but I suspect we won't. Next card for P2 is the Built Palladium. This is a $495 annual fee card, so one of the higher annual fee cards, actually the highest annual fee card that he has in his wallet. I love this card. I'm obsessed. I might apply for it myself also. It earns 2 times points on everything, and it earns Built points, which are arguably the absolute most valuable points in the points world. The Built program does have some complexities, which is kind of annoying, but if you want to keep things really simple, this card is just, it's amazing. You earn 2 times points on everything, and then you can use this function called the Point Accelerator to earn 3 times points on everything, up to $25,000 a year. We have taken full advantage of this, earned a ton of Built points on our everyday spending, and I love this card. It's also got a bunch of other credits and things that you can do with it, including it gives him Priority Pass so that he can get himself and a guest into Priority Pass lounges. I've got Priority Pass from multiple cards, including the Amex Platinum and the Chase Sapphire Reserve, but for him, this is his one card that earns Priority Pass. It also does add the ability to add a 3rd and 4th guest with using some Built cash. So it's a great way to get additional people into the lounge if I'm utilizing all of my guests, like say we're traveling with grandparents and our kids. So that's a nice bonus. I'm going to do a whole episode on the Built program soon, but for the purposes of this episode, we love this card. We're definitely keeping the Built Palladium. Also, this is a new card that he got this year when it came out, so we really can't cancel it yet anyway. We're keeping it for at least a year, but likely long term with this one. Next card for Player 2 is the Citi AA Advantage Platinum Select World Elite card. This is another American Airlines card. This is the same one that I have, that $99 annual fee card. He actually got this as a Barclays American Airlines card late last year when we knew that card would stop existing soon. Barclays basically ended their relationship with American Airlines, and we snagged this card while it was still available because you earned a sign-on bonus for making just one purchase. So it was earn 60,000 American Airlines points for one purchase. The purchase could be $1. So we used this card, made one purchase, earned that big chunk of points, and just wanted to take advantage of that before that offer ceased to exist. Once that relationship with Barclays ended, the card was sort of automatically product changed to this Select World Elite card through Citi, which I already have. We'll keep this card for a whole year, and then later this year, I will cancel it after the next annual fee posts, and then I'll ask for that annual fee refunded. This is duplicate. He's already got this other Globe card. I've got an American Airlines card. We don't need all these cards, so this will be a cancel. We just got this card purely for the sign-on bonus. P2's final card is a Southwest Rapid Rewards Plus card, which is the same Southwest card that I have. So for him, same exact discussion. He got this card around the same time that I did with the goal of earning companion passes. So for him, we will cancel later this year before that next annual fee hits and save that $99. And then at some point, we will both reapply for these cards, likely at the same time, and try to probably earn companion passes again, or if not, at least get a big chunk of Southwest points. Tallying it all up for him, Player 2, it's $1,463 in annual fees that we're paying this year. Likely this will go down to $940 on an ongoing basis if we get rid of the cards I mentioned, including the Amex Gold, which I think we're probably getting rid of unless the retention offer is really good. Between the two of us, that's $3,936 if we kept all the cards. And if we get rid of some cards like I discussed, it would be keeping a $3,314 total annual fees, which, again, is a lot of money, but we're getting a ton of benefits with paying those annual fees. When I'm thinking about the annual fees, I do also like to think about the amount of travel I'm redeeming with points. As I mentioned earlier, I've booked $29,000 in travel on points so far this year. That's the portion that was paid for fully with points, not counting any cash I put towards taxes, fees, things like that. And if I look at last calendar year, January through December, I booked $40,000 worth in travel. So I'm consistently booking far more worth in travel than the amount I'm paying in annual fees. So I sort of think of the annual fees as prepaying for travel costs. And then also I get all those benefits to offset the annual fees. So for me, the cards I've got in my wallet and have decided to keep, I'm happy about and likely will keep on an ongoing basis. But it's important to do this exercise every 6 months or a year to make sure that all the cards you have make sense and that you're not paying any fees that you really don't need to be. If you've got questions about the cards in your wallet and what it makes sense to do with those next, reach out on Instagram or by email. I'm at Points Everywhere on Instagram. And you can email me at pointseverywherepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time on Points Everywhere. Thanks for joining me on Points Everywhere. For more points and mile secrets, follow me on Instagram at Points Everywhere. For referral links to my favorite cards, check out pointseverywhere.com. If you're enjoying this podcast, I would love it if you could take a minute to leave me some stars and a review. See you next time.